All right, it seems many of you are getting fed up with what's being called tipflation. Yes, a new Angus Reid poll shows more than 6 in 10 Canadians say they're being asked to tip more and more often. 83% report having tip fatigue as more and more places are prompting for a tip at payment machines. So for more on the numbers, and if you've reached your tipping point, we're joined live this afternoon by Shachi Curl, president at Angus Reid. Shachi, always good to have you on. It's a really interesting issue because, yeah, no matter where you go, whether it's from a cup of coffee all the way to sort of fine dining, you're prompted to tip more and more these days. And it seems from your numbers, Canadians are getting tired of it.
Well, look, we already know, Nick, that cost of living inflation is squeezing everyone. Everyone's got spending fatigue. Everyone is noticing the cost of things costing more, basics, groceries, services. And so what happens is you're in a situation where people are just starting to feel like the add-on of the tip, which is something that Canadians have generally felt fairly strongly about wanting to tip and feeling like that's a standard thing to do, are now at a point where they're just feeling like, no, we're done. We're being asked too often, as you said, and too much. And so what that has resulted in, Nick, is new data from us that shows a massive increase in the number of people who say that they would actually prefer to go to a service-included system where the tip is built in. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to deal with that awkward moment of, oh, is it going to be 15% or 18% or 20 or more? And not sort of carry not only the sticker shock sometimes of what that extra tip entails cost-wise, but also just in terms of the sense of knowing that it's not on them to basically be carrying the hourly wage rate of a lot of service workers.
And that's the interesting thing, right? Because here we are recovering from a pandemic, restaurants in particular, the service industry in particular, which is, tip central, as it were, got hit hard by that. And if restaurants sort of start to inflate their prices, perhaps because they're including service in there, there must be kind of a delicate balance they're trying to find there if they're thinking about, raising prices to raise wages. Is it going to the staff? Is it going to the restaurant? There's a whole bunch of factors that are bundled up in all of that, isn't there?
Well, sure. And restaurants themselves are the first to say, look, that's fine. You can do that. But number one, we then pay tax. We're going to pay a higher rate of tax on our income. So if we just build it into the menu, there's that aspect of it. So which may then mean that it's less income for those workers if more of it is going to the tax man, so to speak. Mm-hmm. The other aspect, of course, is for many people who work in service, that tip is undeclared, right? That's something that goes straight into their pocket. It doesn't go on a T4. It doesn't go on a declaration. So there are pros and cons in terms of the way that the money is delivered, so to speak. But I think the message from consumers themselves is, waving the flag of surrender on this one. And some of those tip prompts, everybody's got their own stories about it, Nick, around, the most egregious stuff. I was asked to tip 25% on a takeout croissant the other day, and I didn't. Yeah. I did the European tip. I just rounded up. And boy, oh boy, did I get a dirty look.
Interesting.
I was in the place for less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
The person took the thing out and stuck it in a paper bag, and I was on my way. But that warranted apparently a 25% tip.
Yeah, the line really feels like it's getting blurred. And I wonder, Shachi, Angus Reid, you're polling all of Canada. Are there particular parts of the provinces in particular that are sort of more prone or more peeved off by this?
It's less to do regionally and more to do demographically. So we do see men a little more cheesed off by the extent to which they're being asked to tip. Younger people, definitely, because guess what? Newsflash, younger people don't have quite as much income to spend. And then the tip is just one more aspect of the built-in cost of what they have to deal with. Women, older people, quite a bit more, I would say, what's the word? Tolerant or willing to spend a little bit more on that tip and to include it in income. I think what's really interesting, Nick, is that the level of difference of opinion between people who have worked in the service industry versus people who have not worked in the service industry on this issue is not significantly different. So even people who have relied on tips for a job, and we did ask respondents that, have you ever worked a job where you relied on tips? Even people who at some point in their lives have relied on tips for added income are also saying, look, it's going too far, it's too much, it's too high.
They've walked a mile in their shoes, but still aren't necessarily there. Okay, always tip-top stuff. Shachi Kurl, President Angus Reid. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.